to hold a candle to the phenomenal young women that have already been on this stage, from your student speaker and the analytic third to things I can't even describe about marine biology and life. I'm a lawyer. We don't have to understand, we have to convey. To, of course, what's going on in public service and everything in between. How proud am I to be on this stage today and in front of you all? And, you know, it's almost shocking to me that I would be here to tell you about life in some way. I mean, who am I to tell the class of 2024, a class that began in ways that none of us could have anticipated or experienced in any way? I mean, to have begun during the pandemic, to have the summer of racial reckoning, for the world to be on fire across the globe. We're going to tell you about what the world is like? No. I'm going to ask you to tell us what the world is that you want it to be. Because for many of you, this is your very first graduation, and I don't take that lightly. I had the benefit of having my commencements and having, I guess you would call it, normalcy. But for you, I'm sure it feels sometimes as though you had missed out on something. But let me be the first to tell you, you have not indeed missed out. You have something that is so enviable to everyone else, which is a blank slate. I'm reminded of a story that my mother often tells. And indulge me for a moment, because the older I get, although I'm only 25, thank you for the humid conditions. The skin looks moist and supple. I appreciate that. And as a woman from Minnesota, I can tell you that's a wonderful thing to see. Thank you. My mother would tell the story, and I would try to tell her about, you know, how different generations could always improve and do something better. We would look and we would be judgmental and say, what you all have done, let me tell you, I can make it better. I can improve upon it. I can do it better. I can do all these things. And she would tell this story about a conversation between those who challenge the Creator. Now, whoever that is for you, I will leave that up to you and your minds and your faith. And they turned to a story about how there was some semblance that the Creator had created mankind from clay. And there were those that challenged and said, I could have improved upon all these things. I could have made mankind, first of all, humankind, including women. I could have made mankind more sensitive. I could have made it more thoughtful. I could have made it in a way that was less judgmental. I could have made the physical appearance different. I could have made the bodies different. I could have made all these things differently. And the Creator said, well, I welcome you to do something, to reinvent, to recreate. I welcome it, and I challenge you to do so. Since you have a world and a mind full of ideas, please do it. And pompous and arrogant in a way, which is why she was telling her daughter, who was, I guess, displaying those qualities in the moment. She said, now, here's what happened next. Those who had challenged began to pick up clay and mold it in the way they thought was better, to reinvent and recast and tweak here and there. And at first, that Creator smiled and then said, well, hold on, what are you doing? And the person said, well, we're making it better. We're taking what you did and we're improving on it. And the Creator said, no, you have to first make your own clay. You see, when we look at you, when I look and I see each of you, I don't want you to wait for someone to just simply challenge you to improve upon that which really no longer exists in the same way, in the way that the clay makers before saw it. You have a chance to make your own clay. You have a chance not just to build upon, but recreate and reinvent the world as it is now. The blank slate of things, the way that people have described what a democracy is like, the way they have described in the past what life ought to be like, the way they have told you how things were, and maybe nostalgia kicks in and they try to tell you in glowing terms about how it always was. You have an opportunity in front of each of you right now, before you right now in this very moment, to recreate the clay, to build it upon the things that you value, that you cherish, that you know. You will find at some point, if you have not already, an extraordinary epiphany and revelation that will serve you well throughout life. And that is the revelation that the people who tell you what to do or think are just older. But they don't know you. They don't know what you believe. They don't necessarily know, and they don't need to. They need to convey and relay and inform, and your job, your right, and please let it be your calling to do that which is necessary to then return it in the form of an education for the rest of the world. That will be the beauty. In so many ways, the world is almost like a package that's been opened. And with all that has happened and changed, you will find it impossible to repackage it. Much to my chagrin, as I try to return so many things to Amazon that they will not take. But you try to repackage it and you can't do it, and you don't try. The bells have been rung, the sounds have been made, but you have a chance to recreate. And here I am at the commencement, and it's always how it is at the beginning. A feeling of anxiety, a feeling of joy, a feeling of pride, a feeling of what will I do next? I can tell you I have been where you have been. I've sat where you have sat. I have felt the joy and the pride, and also a tremendous amount of uncertainty about what should and what could come next. Who would I be? What would I use? What tools would I need, and how would I feel? How would I measure success? And what's behind me are these beautiful degrees. That could be one barometer of how people choose to see you. I mean, after all, a degree can be defined as a unit of measurement, right? But I challenge each of you to use it in the definitional sense of the extent, the amount, and the level to which you will allow something to happen. The degree to which you would like to see something different, see something maintained, see something obliterated, or see something progressively changed. You have that power right now where you are, and your success will not be based on simply a piece of paper or the words that are on it, but what you do to bring it to life. Are we friends? Can I tell a personal story? Do you mind? Do it. I'll do it. You know, when I was graduating from college, do you know that I was waitlisted at every single law school I applied? And I had to tell you, there was a level of, at times, having had this wonderful trajectory up until that point. The world always seemed to come up in roses for me. And I sat and I waited as my friends and my, fellow students would receive success after success in the form of a letter. And the world and the universe was telling me to wait. To wait. Now, I couldn't understand it in the moment. I thought I had done all the things you're supposed to do. I certainly had not gotten the no's, but the wait seemed, in my adolescent mind at the time, because again, if I'm 25 now, you do the math, that it seemed unfair. And I actually thought, I think I used the word cruel to describe it, as if, just to tell you the myopic view, to think that being a waitlisted person meant there was a cruelty in the world. I couldn't understand why I was told to wait until I realized that every delay is in your favor. Every delay is in your favor. When the world was telling me to wait, it was an opportunity to take a moment to see, to derail for a moment, to understand the path and the track that I wanted to be on, to wait and understand what the world was like around me, to wait and understand who I wanted to become and who I already was, to wait and not have a moment when you only described or defined yourself based on the perception of what success is to other people, but but to then at that moment decide for yourselves what success looks like for you. How do you feel when you have the accomplishment that is dictated by you? What comes next for you? And it made all the difference in my life because there was a power in having the ability to determine one's own path and trajectory. And every delay became in my favor. I don't regret for a moment the universe's dictation that I wait. What I regret is any time I failed at trying to succeed at being someone else. But what a joy to have the moments in your life that are here. Maybe some of you can relate already. Maybe it'll be before you. I encourage each of you to fail miserably at trying to succeed at being someone else. I encourage you to go out in a blaze of glory anytime you think, I need to be, I need to sound like, I need to represent as, I need to show up as anything inauthentically that is not you. Fail. Enjoy that failure and find yourself better. You know, when I became a prosecutor, I really realized the weight and the power that one has to be authentically yourself, to bring who you are to a table, because you will meet people at the other end of judgment. You will have in that moment the ability to understand and empathize, or you'll have the ability to choose to believe that you are different and in the camp of I never would. But what you will see when you wait for a moment and go down the list of the things that you thought you held dear is that you will find yourself in that revelation. You know, it's not who you are that's going to hold you back. It's who you think you are not. And part of your journey and discovery of today will be realizing who you are and who you are not. I found myself tested throughout my work, tested my moral compass, at times spinning, trying to find a true north, challenging what I thought would be who and what you do when the decisions to change something is right in front of you. When someone else's lives are in your hands, and whatever field or world you are in is in the palm of your hand, what will you do with it? The power is intoxicating. Don't drink from that well. Don't use or seek power for the sake of accolades. Use and seek power for the sake of conveying that power to those who truly need it. Those who are voiceless among you, those who need a champion, those who need someone to see them because you are reflecting your values and who you are. Journalism is not that different, frankly, from the world of the law, and that you are providing information and allowing people decide what they want to do with it and how they think about it. And you have to wait to determine the priorities of the lists you provide of information. But I'll tell you one thing to be cautious of in the life that you lead. Be cautious of the theys. The they. Now, I don't mean the pronouns. Pronouns are fine, boomers. They're just fine. Period, full stop. I'm talking about the theys of the world that are using that as a data point to change what you believe. They'll take your beautiful minds and all that you've experienced and all that you know and all that you feel, and they'll say, yeah, but they say this, and so you must be wrong. But I believe in this, and I think this, and I feel this, and I know from my education this. And they say, yeah, but, they're saying that that's not accurate. They say in a condescending, look down the nose sort of way what they think. And then if you really unpack it, you find yourself realizing that the theys are the wizards behind the curtain trying to tell you what you already have. You already know you've got the brain, the heart, the courage to do what you believe in. So be wary of the they as not a data point, but as a moment when you'll realize how uncomfortable people are when you create the clay. When you have that bold audacity to say, I can, I will, I should, and I will continue, they will try to tell you why you are wrong. But they can't hold a candle to all that you think, believe, and do, because you are the ones to recreate the clay. They will tell you to sit at the table, to fight for that seat at the table. And I'll tell you, I've sat at many a table, and I've often wondered if I'm on the menu. Sometimes I'm not always invited to the seat at the table because I bring my opinions with me, and I don't hold back about what they are. But I often see when people talking to you about having a seat at the table, one of the things that you have to be wary of is why they want you to leave your walk and your path to sit down. Is it the room you want to be in? Is the table where you need to be? Is there another space you need to occupy? Or is that seat an opportunity for you to not only get up for a moment, open the window so everyone else can hear what's inside, what ought to be a transparent space? When you sit at that table, can you all do me a favor? Because now we're all personal friends. And I'm also a grad now of Faegre College, so thank you. When you sit at that table, can you do me a personal favor and not be a mute at it? There is no reason for you to be at a table if you have every intention of being silent when you are there. There is no reason for you to be at that table if you find yourself trying to conform to who it is you think is supposed to be at that table, what they look like. If you try to impersonate what you think success or somebody who's entitled to be there looks like, you have no longer chosen to be yourself at that table. And I'm telling you, the invisibility of yourself is only at the whole world's detriment. Everything you are right now is enough and ought to be at those tables. Ignore the imposter syndrome that might come, that might be imposed, that you might have a rumbling that you don't deserve or should be someplace. You should be, and you already are, because you have degrees to decide the amount, the level, and extent to which you will welcome people into the space that you're in and the way you're going to teach them how to treat you. That is your power, and you have it right now. You know, I'll leave you with this story that I often think about in terms of the ability to choose either to sit and be influenced by the energy in a room, or you could choose to influence the energy in the room. There are 3 types of people that a good friend of mine always described. 3 types of people who will emerge in times of pressure and pain and joy and hardship and the equivalent of boiling water. Because that's what pressure can feel like sometimes. Who am I telling? You know. But there are 3 types of people, and one is a carrot, right? A carrot, when you put it in boiling water, it begins as being very hard, but the pressure softens it in a way that makes it malleable and easy to be mushed and broken. Don't be the carrot, but eat your vegetables. Then there's the egg. You put an egg in boiling water, it begins having a fluidity within itself. It begins being able to be open to change. It can move. It can have possibilities. And you put it in boiling water and its very composition changes. It can no longer be moved. It is as it now will be. And it's unrecognizable to its former self. Don't be that egg. Or there's the coffee bean. And then the coffee bean gets into the boiling water. it doesn't lessen who it is. It changes the water. It lets itself, its authentic self, come out and energize and rejuvenate and awaken and unapologetically provide the jolt that the entirety of its body now needs. But it remained who the coffee bean was. Don't worry, I won't say woke. It's a thing now, apparently. But you should be the coffee bean. You should be the coffee bean that influences the energy around itself. Oh, claps, thank you. That's who you have to be. And you know who you have to be for us right now. Here's a vantage point that's about to change for the rest of your life. You will no longer have one person speaking at you, lecturing, telling you what you need to read, what you need to learn, what are the prerequisites and the metrics that they will judge you on, because this is the syllabus that they have and they will provide. Now we're looking at you. And I look at each of you with such a fondness and joy and pride that it is bursting out of my very chest. And I ask you, you tell me, clay creators, what should we be reading? Who will be our heroes? How will the world be described? Where is this place that you will build and have built and are building for us? What are the quotes? What are the lectures? What are the moments? What is the syllabus? And for the love of everything, tell us, what is our assignment? Thank you.